last meeting, which was the meeting before the info session.
Make a motion to approve the March 25th minutes.
I'll second.
All in favor?
What's this thing?
All right. Hey Neil, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
I can hear you. Can we turn it down a little bit?
All right, well, so as we're, oh, hi, come on over, chief. I'm sorry, I told you the safety complex, we switched it. That was actually my fault.
Scavenger hunt.
Yeah, it's always hard to find us. No, not really. All right, so the reason why we invited you is because last meeting, we were told that you're requiring a non-pressurized water tank. So can you explain what's required, when it's required to be put in, so we can build it into our program?
Sure. So based on the plans that were for, I think the question was, do we add to the existing tank or do we add a separate tank, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
So in the initial review of it, my thoughts were whatever the calculations were for sprinklers, which I don't have that in front of me, you know, up top.
Not
what
off the
that-
top of my head. I can try to dig that up if you'd like.
How big was the tank you have? You remember that?
Let me find it.
Okay.
I've got it all.
I don't feel bad when I don't know if you don't know. So.
Too many numbers for me to remember.
Is that in the existing buildings?
No, that's
No, no,
the
this is-
proposed new. So it's in the plans, but I can pull that out.
So what we just basically need to do is, there's a couple levels. So number one, your sprinkler is gonna have a mathematical equation as to how much it takes to sprinkler the building, and then set the size. In the reality of a fire, there's only one or two sprinkler heads that would be going off, which we would be supplementing the pressure with the FTC connection.
Right.
So our problem in Granby is water source. So whether we're utilizing the existing tank and set a gallonage on that, or a separate tank to provide, we kind of look to have roughly 300 gallons a minute, which is 2 hose lines for 20 minutes. So you need about 7,000 gallons of water, whether that's in the existing tank, utilizing it with the sprinklers. Sometimes you can combine that. So there's a couple different ways you could get to it. And then a third element of this is that you have a second phase, right? So the second half of the building is not sprinklered or not piped at this point.
Right, we're gonna have capacity for it built in
Okay.
terms of the pump and in terms of the tanks.
Okay.
So that's already built in. And the issue with doing a pressurized system for the additional was that it would
Becomes a
just
challenge.
upsize the pump
Yeah.
significantly.
So kind of reviewing that and thinking again, what's been standardized is, so at the fire station itself, at CVS, basically just put a cistern in to grab the water source.
So put a new cistern in, don't add to the existing.
Don't add to the pressurized, but you could add to the quantity of the pressurized and utilize the same tank, so to speak. There might be some engineering in there, I'm not positive on that.
Well, and that was kind of the question, is whether because one of the things that our engineers were saying today to ask you was essentially if we did a separate cistern with a dry style hydrant, is there a style or a type that you'd be looking for?
Yes, so it'd be, we are 4-inch.
Yep.
Yeah, so it would be a 4-inch system, basically, connection,
Okay.
although that'd be hard suction, that'd be a 5-inch.
Well, for suctioning it out, yeah, it'd be 5-inch.
It'd be
5-inch.
5-inch.
I can get you actual
Yeah,
numbers.
that would be great.
The
Just for
FTC would
clarification.
probably be 4.
Yes, I think that's what you told me.
Yeah, if it's just a tank, we gotta draft it out, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if we utilize a separate tank, and that's typically a 10,000 gallon, has kind of been the rule of thumb for that. Or there's 10,000 extra in the capacity of the other tank,
Mm-hmm.
that you might be able to utilize that with a hydrant connection.
Okay.
But that could create some issues, and I don't have that answer as far as you're pressurizing, so one pump is sucking out of that tank, we come in from a different
Right.
hydrant and suck out of it.
Right,
to
and I
create
know
venturities.
when we reviewed this internally with the design team, generally speaking, which it sounds like you're in agreement with, their comment to me was it's going to be a lot simpler from a cost and even just a calculation standpoint to just do two separate systems. Because the secondary, the extra, essentially modified all the requirements for everything else.
Builds everything up,
Yeah.
so.
So then to add
And
in
it's a
separate
more
cistern that's
expensive pump, essentially.
Yeah, you don't want the two systems working against each
No,
other.
Correct.
no.
Right. So the way the fire system is, it was, so that system was, it's 50,000, or I forget the gallons, that was a long time ago, but there's a sump in there for the sprinkler pump. And then so we do our calculations, let's just say it was 50,000 gallons.
Yep.
And then we also had 10,000 extra on a jockey pump for filling the tanks. So the truck's just on a passive lane, although I don't think we ever use it really. The only thing I might suggest is if you do your sprinkler calculations, is having access to that tank should there be something catastrophic.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning just a connection that's there if you needed it. So let's say you have a catastrophic event, you need more water than what the sprinkler's doing, worse water than what we're doing. We don't care what the sprinkler's doing at that point, we're
Right,
gonna
you
take the
just
water.
need the water.
Right.
Yeah.
Or even like a disconnect, so that way we can have more.
Shut the pump down
Yeah,
or
that's what I mean,
whatever, and you
yeah.
have a dry hydrant
Mhm.
connection on it, but you wouldn't use it normally unless
Correct.
it was catastrophic.
All right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So can you give me a summary of what that fire talk was?
The one just right here?
Oh, tanks.
You want English?
That's what I thought. Yeah, then you add-
Separate,
add it
two
to
separate
that.
systems, separate tanks, but create a bypass, so to speak, for the pump system, so that if there's a catastrophic event, say either the pump fails or there's just a humongous fire,
You
that
go to
there's a
the
way to
pressurized.
connect
We have a way
it
to get the water out
Right.
with our trucks.
from the other cisterns.
So we'd have one smaller cistern for us to suck water out of it for just a regular fire, and you got another cistern for the sprinklers working. And then but we can get access to that water if we had to. Does that make sense?
Is there a particular size that we have to get? And this has to be done first phase.
Yes. So the math would work out on your sprinklers, which I think you did.
So we have 30,000 gallons for the sprinkler system.
Typically, it's a 10,000 for cisterns.
Yeah.
For the most part. Again, we kind of two what we call hand lines, two attack lines, 175 gallons a minute. And if you haven't done it in
Yep.
15, 20 minutes, you're not going to be there long. You're going to be there a lot longer than that. I should say.
Change modes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. We're going to be using the other tank.
Yes. You're still gonna be an FTC, right?
Saving gas.
Yes.
Okay. To the sprinkler system.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, that's going off the north wing.
One of those spots we marked on the
Yes.
print.
Yeah, the north end of the building, kind of cross catty corner from
Yep.
where the pump house is gonna go.
Okay.
Because I figured that's where the supply truck
So,
was gonna go.
so the sprinkler, the tank to support the sprinkler system
Yep,
is 30,000
Yep.
gallons?
That's whole building.
30,000 for the whole building. So we've got the full capacity for the whole building in there. It's, right now, they're showing, 6,000 gallon tanks for that system. And then 10,000 gallon for yours.
So, I mean, if you're trying to, I have no idea what a cistern costs, but
Mhm.
if there's an impact that it could be 6,000,
Mhm.
the difference between 6 and 10 is not that dramatic
Mhm.
if we have catastrophic availability of the sprinkler tank.
Right.
That's true.
And you said it was how many cisterns for 30,000?
5.
6,000.
Mhm. Yeah.
And that's for the
I thought
whole
there were
building,
two systems.
Yes.
second phase too.
Yes. Yeah, because we're sprinklering the whole portion we're occupying, and we'll bring essentially a supply line capped to that point where we, and then it can be extended from there.
And that's what the code requires for sprinkler tank size?
Yes. Yeah,
What do they
based on
figure on,
flow rate.
25% involvement or something?
I'd
forget
have
what
to
it was.
ask them.
Yeah, I
That's
forget what it was.
that's not my area.
I mean, typically the whole building doesn't go,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
so I
Long
think
time ago.
there might be, I think it might be 25, I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't occupancy make a difference too? Or is just the heads of the,
Yes, occupancy does make a difference because that was part of the reason why I was asking, well, what do you intend to use the other side for?
and then that's why we had to calculate.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, because what could happen is, for instance, if it's dry storage, let's say,
Right.
that could change the whole thing. They get in, like in stores, they get into problems. Let's say at Costco, 1 minute they're putting box goods under something, and then they move it and put tires under it. The sprinkler's different. The
Right.
amount of energy that comes off is different. But I would think here it would be on the same class for the whole building for the most part.
Yeah.
Never seen anyone write smaller than type.
Everyone comments.
That's like architect.
Everyone comments on my handwriting, and I think it's normal, and apparently it's not.
It's nice and neat and tiny.
It's normal for you, so not
Yes.
to worry.
There you go.
Good for the optician.
Yeah, yeah. And my eyes or my glasses rather actually work, not my eyes.
So are we set with the chief?
Yeah, and I think you had already mentioned that we're already talking that we're just going to update general alarm and detection on the unoccupied side just to make sure we have coverage, and then that we have egress lighting and such throughout, and exit signs, just make sure that that's all clear and established.
Are those doors to be locked?
Yes. So the doors, essentially what's going to happen is between, and I can pull up a plan, just give me a moment here. Between the unoccupied and the occupied portion, we're going to have double doors essentially that are between those two halves. Those will have fob access so that generally people can't get in.
So, when you
So
say
that's-
fob access, when the alarm goes off, does it default to open?
Yes.
Okay. But
When the alarm goes off for the unoccupied or the
Well,
occupied or both?
that's my question is if the alarm goes off, typically it unlocks doors, or
Usually in that situation.
so are you gonna open a section of the building in phase one and it's gonna be dangerous for people to go to because now could be locked doors on the other side, they can't get out.
Mm-hmm.
No, because the egress is.
No, egress, you're not going to that side. You're not going through that side. So to that point, we could keep those two sets of doors as fail closed, essentially locked, because from the other side, coming from inside the occupied, that you can always get out, is the intent. That they'd always allow egress.
Right, I just wouldn't want somebody, the lock's open, it's a panic attack,
Right.
panic, smoke condition. and
All
now
all
they're going
the
to a
other
building.
doors, to your point, should fail open,
Right.
essentially. But those two, to your point, I think make sense, fail closed.
If they'll close and key lock them,
Right.
just for this phase one, disconnect the electrics.
Yep.
And I assume they aren't gonna be marked as egress either.
No.
Well, they don't even have to be doors.
It could be a wall.
Right. You could
Fire
keep it.
separation.
Yeah, we could just not put the doors in if you want to take that approach. I think the one you likely on the north side that goes downstairs, you probably do want a door there just for the
Because the
sake
storage.
the storage, the sprinkler risers through there, water.
Or you put the separation on top of the stairs.
You could. Yeah, that might be another option as well.
Safe doors, you can save 20 grand.
Yeah. Especially fire rated doors. So,
It doesn't give any false sense of.
Right,
that you can go that way.
because unfortunately, this day and age, while you're talking about fire, you gotta look at protests, you gotta look at, you know, shooter events, all the other things that happen these days, that when panic hits, what people
Right.
do.
Right.
And it could be phase two expense then.
Yeah, to put the door in and to create access, because at that point, you'd actually just take the wall out.
Right.
And then the door doesn't necessarily have to be a fire door.
Correct.
Correct.
At that point.
Fire wall, but not a fire door. That's cheap.
Yeah.
Much cheaper.
Yep. Nope, that's a good idea. Any possible way we can save more money, let's do it.
That's why I was wondering on the quantity in the sprinklers when you're putting that in. If you could utilize the same tank water in phase, so let's say phase one only needs 15,000 gallons for the sprinkler, but you got 30,000 gallon tanks. There might be a way to utilize that now, and then in phase two add the cistern. See what I mean?
Yeah,
Saves money that way too.
yeah, it just becomes part of.
If it comes to the second phase, when you do the second side, you just have to add a tank for that side.
Yep,
It's kind of just math at this point.
yep, no, let me ask that question to the engineer and just see what his thought is, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so
'cause-
I guess you would do the math of, all right, well, how much water does it take to do phase one? And do we have 7-ish, 6, 7, 10,000 gallons
Extra.
extra in those tanks? Maybe one of them to do a, water committed to us. And then in phase two, you could add a tank to
Right.
come up with your math for the whole building.
We probably need to do a cost benefit,
Yeah.
because if it's only
Right.
a few thousand,
Might as well
It's not
yeah.
worth-
Yeah,
it's not
Right.
worth
Yep.
But it,
digging
yeah.
up the parking lot again and.
Right.
and-
true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can work that in.
Because when we're done with this, if this goes through, that becomes clean shell space.
Right.
To do whatever you need to do with it afterwards. You don't have to worry about.
Okay.
Great, thanks, Chief.
That's it? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, the second thing on the agenda was the security cameras. I know that, you and Chief talked and he showed you some errors where he thought the cameras would go in.
Yep.
That was good, and then I gave him the
The specs. and
specs of what we
I
have.
assume we're okay proceeding with that as a proprietary spec, meaning that we're going with that manufacturer as opposed to for public bid, typically you have to give 3. But I assume since we're trying to build off a pre-existing
Well,
system.
I think the pre-existing system is the Paxton for the doors,
Right.
but I think the cameras could be anything.
Okay, so for the cameras, essentially the approach, and this was something the engineers wanted to confirm right now, is that likely will provide power and data essentially as needed to them, the pathway, and then the camera itself would be by whatever vendor you guys use in town, is essentially the intent right
You're
now.
happy with the system you got now?
Yeah, we just got it. It's updated. The original was 15 years old, so that just went through this year. We've had it for a couple of months, and it's good.
So then, so are we gonna piggyback off that security system then?
Well, we can't. The cameras that has its own separate server,
Right.
but the server for the door locks can
That
handle up
one
to
would
1,000
be-
locks.
Proprietary.
So that's what we'd like to stay with that. That way, there's not extra servers all over the place. You know, it can be sectioned off to town. Just because it's one server doesn't mean it's not security isn't broken down to different controls or different people. It's just
Makes sense.
Right.
So then the camera system would have to go out to bid.
Yeah, that you would have to. The question would be on that, is that something that you want to include a camera in the bid, or is that something where once we just get you the power data to the locations where the cameras go, And then if you have a vendor that you work with, do you have them come in for your security and then bring and put the cameras in those locations?
See, then we would have to look at, what the cost is, because over a certain amount, then it would have to go out to bid anyway.
Okay.
That's some part of this.
Probably just
Tim,
part
why,
of it, so.
Tim, why don't you just put that into the electrician scope?
Okay.
So I'm sure it's gonna be over.
We don't wanna put this together
No,
and then go back and say, well, we need another.
Right.
yeah, we didn't do the.
Yep. Yep.
Whatever for the cameras, still gonna be, so.
Do you have a typical vendor you work with in case we need to do some coordination on that as we develop it?
Well,
Or the people who
that won the
maintain your
bid for,
system?
people that won the bid for the doors and the cameras was Ratcliffe.
Okay,
that
was
long.
through them, okay. Okay.
All right. Next thing is water in the West Street basement. So, I know I sent both of you an email regarding, water in West Street basement and if whether or not we're doing something about that with this project. And then Jeremy did write back to both of you where the water's coming from.
Right.
So, someone is questioning whether or not the mold in the school is, the report that we got is still valid because there was water. Jeremy's assured us that it wasn't standing. It got, every day he goes down there, he clears it out and cleans it, airs it out. So I'm just bringing it to the table as to what we want to do about that.
What part of the building? The basement meets?
It's the basement where the storage is.
One of the courtyard walls, Lynn, if I remember?
Yes. No, courtyard walls.
Yeah, on the right hand,
Yep.
so if you went downstairs, it'd be on your right hand side?
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, that's where he's got the fans set up.
I'm missing Jeremy's email.
So is it just an excavation thing in the courtyard then?
Well, the belt and suspenders way to do it is literally to dig and put in a foundation drain. And then you'd have to tie that into your storm water, wherever that is. Hopefully there's some that you could tie into. That's the better way to do it in terms of try to get the water away from the building. The other path you can take is to do a coating applied on the inside face. The issue with that is, one, it will fail over time, and it's just like paint from that standpoint. And two, what you typically find in a situation like that, and granted a foundation drain can do this too, if you only do it for a select portion of your wall, is it's just going to push and find wherever your next weakest
Yeah.
point is.
Isn't there a drain in that courtyard down by the stairs?
I think there might be. Yeah, just like you go out the door, right?
My guess is it's probably something that could be.
Try to
It's well, again, I don't know if
check
it's
the
surface
drain
water
fluid.
draining in or it's
Mhm.
hydraulics coming up.
Yeah, right. Which hydraulics would be helped based on the foundation drain. Granted, to your point, if there is a drain on that low point, because it does slope that way, it may be a matter of looking at that drain to see if it's clogged and functional.
According to Jeremy, he can't see any evidence that water is coming up from the floor. It's only coming up from the
From the
wall.
wall.
So that's a
Yeah,
drain.
that's even
Probably
more.
drainage.
That'd be
Yeah.
like a gutter,
Yeah.
problem. That should be a simpler.
Yeah, that's not hydraulic.
No.
Either or, even if it is hydraulics, you put in a sub.
Right.
So I don't think we should kick the can down the road. I think we should probably solve the problem now, even though we're not using the basement for anything but storage. Obviously, it'll add more costs, but we're going to be questioned on it.
Right.
Tim, I think you gotta have your civil guy go out, open up that area drain and see if there's a connection to the outside world. Frankly. And if there is, we've gotta test it and make sure that it's flowing.
Yeah.
That will come up at town meeting.
Yeah.
So as long as we're looking at it and trying to investigate where the
Yeah,
water's
we're
coming
working
from
on integrating it.
and actually solving the problem, or hoping to solve the problem with this project, that's key.
But
Yeah.
it's minor water coming in, it's not a.
That's the only place that keep.
But the implication is, or the inference is the water's coming in, it's standing there, it's creating mold, it's not safe. And we know that it is safe. We had someone come in and test the air.
Right, that's the
Right.
report I referenced when we.
Yes, we had our
Yeah,
Q&A.
yep.
Right. I have it in my pile of stuff. So, just be prepared.
Mm-hmm. No, I'll bring it up with Gunlow. I know mechanical's planning to come out, I think later this week, so I can also put it on his radar to look at.
Okay. I know that you sent an email about the walls and the plaster and wanting us to go behind, and Jeremy had sent an email back to you saying, where?
Sean's gonna send him, if he hasn't already, he's gonna send him a marked up plan.
Okay.
Because the thought is to take, it doesn't really need to be all that much, maybe about 4 feet on either wall. Just, we wanna verify, one, is it just masonry behind, or is there plaster? And two, try to get a sense of, is it dry?
All right, so like basically what we're talking about is that Tim emailed last week saying there's, the exterior walls is significantly damaged, the plaster,
At the TA
in the
office
TA
area.
office below the window, so they want to determine.
There's bookcases in.
There are bookcases
Block.
in all the other classrooms that cover it. Based on looking at the bookcases, they are shot more from the standpoint of the paint peeling, but otherwise don't appear to have water damage. So that's why my hope is it's sound behind, but it also made us question, what are we going to find behind?
So we asked Jeremy to pull away some of the bookcases so they could do their investigation.
Yeah. And then I sent another note today just related to, which he can probably do as well, which is just to run, we want to try to verify, because based on what the plumbing engineer was finding on site, we believe that all of the bathrooms are headed to one and only one of the septic systems, and that the kitchen may be on its own septic system, which we want to just run the water. I sent it this afternoon, so you may not have it printed yet. But essentially run all of the sinks in each of the bathrooms, have someone lift the caps on septic, both of them, watch for where the water's coming in, confirm. Because if it is that way, the nice thing is that then, rather than having a separate line for our oil water separator, we can just have it all in line for the kitchen, since it's all just the kitchen that's served off the one septic.
Okay.
Which will simplify that system and save a little bit of money there.
Yep.
All right. Moving on to special town meeting. And Steve Nally's chart. So last night when I went to the select board meeting, they discussed, the select board's going to present Article 1. The committee has to be prepared to discuss Article 1. So Micheline is going to do that for our committee. The funding's coming out of the municipal building fund and the capital needs stabilization fund. The amount wasn't specified. I'm assuming it's going to be 2 million. So the bond will be maximally 8 million.
We're still waiting to get an estimate on what this is gonna be.
Yeah, this building.
Yes, we haven't gotten this estimate yet for this building. So, and there's a lot of discussion in town or questions in town regarding this debt exclusion vote. So Chris will clarify at the town meeting how this vote works, and I'll just let you guys know in case you guys are questioning too. But because this amount of money is over the 2.5 limit that we're allowed to raise, we are going to ask the town for a debt exclusion, which will put $8 million on your taxes, or the bond, for the time until we pay the bond off. It's not, we want you to underride, it's not permanent. It just stays on the taxes for a certain amount of time, whatever that bond time is, 20 years, 25 years, we don't know yet. So Chris will explain that. So it's 2 votes. Town meeting has to appropriate the money on Monday night, and then it goes, if they say yes, it goes to the ballot box on May 19th, and the whole town gets to vote. And if it passes then we keep on going with our project. Now, options, if it doesn't pass, which I learned last night. If it doesn't pass, if Article 1 doesn't pass on Monday night, then we move on to Article 2, which is the raising of West Street building. That may or may not pass. If it does, Article 1 does pass, we don't talk about Article 2, we go to the voter box. The vote doesn't pass. What is the option then? The select board has 45 days to bring another ballot vote, if they so choose. And if they don't, then they have to bring that Article 2 back to the town at a future special town meeting to demolish West Street building. And then the other option is, that might be Jen. What's the other option?
That if it doesn't pass on Tuesday, it can still go to the ballot box.
Oh,
But if it goes to the ballot box,
yes. So the other option is, which is a little, not the way we normally do it in town, but what you can do is you put it, we're gonna vote on it on Monday. If it doesn't pass, it can still go on the ballot. If it passes on the ballot, then you have to go back to another town meeting and appropriate the money.
because now everybody has voted on it, so then we just have to go through.
Yes. So there's a lot of moving parts here. It's up to the select board how they want to proceed. All right? So at town meeting, you guys will be answering all the questions because I will not be able to. I have to be impartial. Just like the last time, okay? Any questions on that?
I figure when you guys will pick up after my long spiel, I'll be dry mouth.
Oh, so Mr. Nally's chart that he made us. How do you want to present? It's going to be, oh, okay, so the,
You looking for this?
the info brochure, Tim, you said you would be able to change.
Yep, which my question on the map is, the plan rather, do you want me to print a second one of those at the big scale? Which would have the
No,
updated
just
labels,
do-
or keep the old
just
and
keep the
just do
old
one
one.
new?
Do one new, and then whichever one you look
Okay.
at, you look at.
Yep,
But
perfect.
on those, we need
Update
it
it on the
corrected.
flyer, yep.
And then,
Neil, I
lost
think
Neil.
had
Yeah.
to leave.
so then
Um,
Neil, I will send Neil, once you,
Yep,
give me
Sean
everything
told
again.
me he should have that tomorrow, so. I
So,
can-
so what we're doing to the pamphlet is we're adding, I was asked, where's the town accountant going? Where's the,
Oh, on the map itself.
town
Yeah, on the
accountant
plan
going
at the
and,
end.
Yeah.
The treasurer.
Yeah.
because
Treasurer,
they weren't-
accountant, we're labeling all the
bathrooms.
bathrooms, and we're also gonna label the file storage.
Yes,
Yes.
they asked where their
So
storage
So
was.
we're just labeling it a little
Yeah.
more for people.
Okay.
The other thing we were considering is if we wanted to make it a little bit more obvious, is instead of saying shared public space, to maybe say senior center / multi-use space for this space, the cafeteria and the gym, to try to make it clear. I
That
don't know your
senior
thoughts.
center space
Yeah.
until
/
the community needs
multi-use.
it for something.
Right.
Yeah, I'm fine with
Try to
that.
make
I
it
think
a
I
little
think
bit
that would be a good
clearer.
idea instead of them not thinking, yeah.
Right. So we were trying to look at it from the standpoint, Sean and I, we just kind of put it up in front of us and we said, okay, what can we do? Make it as clear as possible.
Yes, which is good. That came out of the Q&A. It wasn't clear that they were getting dedicated space.
Yeah.
So then that leads me to that chart that Steve Nally's doing for us. What do you want to put on it for numbers? If we know the article's asking for 2 million, which I don't know what that number is, we're gonna have to ask this week. Should that, Steve's chart only show
The 8?
8 million?
I think so, because otherwise people would just be,
That's not how the article reads.
no, the article already reads 10, right?
The article reads, the article reads 9.9, whatever it reads, but it says, that's total.
Up
And so the motion will read 9.9 with 1 million coming out of municipal, 1 million coming out of capital needs, and the rest of it being bonded.
Is that how the motion's gonna read? Okay.
And then we'll have a the debt exclusion vote will also be in the motion. So the motion will be very different, well, not very different, but it'll be much more specific than the article.
It's gonna drill down further.
So you want Steve's thing to say 8 million? Is that what you're trying to say? Because the way the article is read, and then when people read it, they go, well, you said this, but we're only bounding for 8?
Yes.
Okay.
Because the motion is what we are moving. We're not moving
Yeah.
the article. The article is just a warning to the public, hey, we're gonna talk about $9.9 million for the renovation of West Street.
Okay.
And then it gets people to come in, and then they get to, and then they look at the motion, and the motion is a little different in that it's been now drilled down to where it's coming from. We're not gonna bond 10 million. I don't think we need it on his chart. Unless, of course, someone can amend the motion and say, well, I want another million of free cash. That could happen. If there's a million in free cash, I don't, the town is just not offering that.
Well, I think we have to work on what's there. I think that's why the town's saying that. This money's already been set into these stabilization funds.
Right. So Steve's chart should just show the 8 million
That's the different levels, yeah.
at the different house assessment levels. And I don't know what bond rate he's using, maybe it's the 5.5 that he already drafted for us,
I think he says that's on the higher side anyways, is
He
the
does say
5.5,
that.
so.
but I haven't been able to talk to him yet to see what he's gonna really put together. But I just wanted to make sure that the team didn't wanna see 7 million, 8 million, 9 million.
Like this one.
No.
Yeah, because I think
Like
it
that,
messed
like-
everybody
yes.
up. Get everybody else
And
confused.
I don't wanna say worst case scenario, but I think that's what people wanna know. What's the max
Right.
you're looking at? For tax
With the
increase.
motion as
With the
drafted.
motion.
Yeah, as drafted.
So that would be 8 million.
Yeah.
As far as I know, I don't know, I'm assuming that we're getting 2 million. All right, thank you. Any questions on town meeting? Everybody knows it's Tuesday night at 7 o'clock,
East Meadow Schools.
which we're at school, yep. Kitchen. So, should the kitchen, I know it wasn't part of the original scope of this project, but we are pursuing, in our Q and As, we're letting people know that's the intention. It's gonna be a commercial kitchen. As long as we get the grant to do the kitchen, but you can't get the grant until you allocate money towards the kitchen. So should the kitchen be an alternate?
Thought we said that we were gonna let the select board decide that.
Well, the select board decided for us to go after the grant. The select board said, this is a good idea, we want food security. But we need to have money to do it. So I guess all I'm saying is if our bids come in and we can start adding alternates on, why can't we make it an alternate?
The issue is right now, we don't even have the design built in. Cause that was built
That was a
into
whole
the
separate
total
thing.
for what you wanted, in terms of that total number that I'd given you, that included design of it.
The 1 million you were talking about?
Yeah.
Included the design and everything in it?
Cause we'd need to bring in a kitchen consultant, which we do not have right now.
So our current design
And
does
then,
not have a commercial kitchen designed in it.
No.
We're assuming it's gonna be about $1 million.
Yep.
But we don't have it designed, so it's not gonna be part of this phase.
Correct.
It's a separate project.
Correct.
Right now, there's a kitchen designed in it.
Which is
like
Yeah,
like
like this.
COA has
Right.
currently.
Currently, yeah.
Basically a residential
Yeah.
kitchen.
on is the brochure, not correct.
What do you have written in there now?
It's intended, yeah, no, it's fine. It's intended to eventually have space for town meetings, a commercial community kitchen, and a recreation center, so
Yes.
it's, the intent is
So
there.
future, yes.
Future.
Which that's always been
Right,
the
and I did
intent.
explain when we walked through my street yesterday that this is, it's, currently it is gonna be what you have now.
Yeah.
Okay, but I just didn't know if it could be an alternate, but it can't, because we don't have a design,
Right.
so it'll be a separate project.
Hmm.
And we need allocation.
Right.
All right, moving on to old business, rural grant. Anything on that?
Nope, still waiting for the time frame to put the actual application in.
That's for the kitchen.
Yeah,
So the application, I don't think is due until May,
right. We just have the interest.
and they have it, and we've gotten approval.
Yes.
COA assessment, anything, Jim?
I got a call into them today, waiting to hear back, told them we need it by early next week.
Okay,
Just to clarify, that's an estimate on this building.
Right.
yes.
Appraisal.
Correct.
I think this building's assessed for over $1 million. I can actually look that up, but
I could do too.
I thought it was over $1 million when I looked. It might have been even $2 million. No.
No,
No.
that's wishful thinking.
Yeah,
That was really
Well, it's
wishful thinking.
commercial space, is it not?
Hmm?
This is commercial space, is it not?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
So I mean, might be $1 million too.
Might be 1.2?
Yeah, 1.2.
Yeah, I think it was a little over $1 million.
Yeah.
I don't remember though.
It should, no, I mean,
Are you looking at that, Tim?
Yeah. I'm working on it.
Which is great, is if it is that high, that goes, anyways, it goes on the bond, which would lower it even more.
And that has to be discussed at town meeting.
Right.
That, even though we're bonding $8 million, as Steve explained to us, he's gonna go for short-term borrowing
Until the project's complete.
into the and then
Then bond.
bond. So $8 million would be the most we bond. And hopefully Steve will talk about that at town meeting. All right, well, Tim's looking up the assessment. The last thing I have on the agenda is pre-qualification bid process. Oh, and Neil's not here. So that's.
I'm right here.
Oh,
Can you hear me, Lynn?
oh, you are here.
Oh, he is here.
Yeah.
He's caller one.
You're
He's
calling.
called.
I'm sorry, I had to switch to my phone because I had to leave the office. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
that's okay.
Well, that explains the directional.
Yeah.
So the,
But that was hearing things.
the pre-qualification bid process, you and Tim are working on that, right?
Yes, I think Tim still needs to provide me with a fee proposal, but yes, we are
Yes.
working on it.
Okay.
So that doesn't seem right. I found one, but I don't think it's the right one.
What'd you find?
Saying 319,000. That can't be right.
No, that would be,
Yes.
yeah, not that.
no,
Yeah.
not that at all.
I know, I can find it.
Yeah, I might have the wrong.
Well, because somebody put it, actually said they looked it up, the value of this, and put it on Facebook, and it's 1 million something. It was the value of this. They put it on Facebook. But right now I can't see it.
I'm seeing you drove here.
With glasses and shades on.
It's,
That's why I'm like, doesn't anybody else think this room is
Because
bright?
the problem is I'm looking at the chart. That would be nice if it were on the GIS system.
assessed value by location. And this is
10.
10
Can
West
be.
State Street.
West Street.
West State.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why I'm looking at the wrong address.
Okay. You're probably looking at the other one, the annex.
Oh, which also, the annex, as a committee, we can't answer what will happen.
Like
This
details
project-
afterwards, after, yeah. Because as Jim's always said that's not what we've been charged with. This is beyond our scope and it's to the board.
10
That's
West
the
Street is,
West State.
West
West State
State.
Street,
State.
10 West State Street is.
Right, who's getting it first between the two you guys?
Wait, 10 West State Street
Yeah.
says Granby Town owns it. Total assessed lands 193,400. Assessed improvements are 328,000 for a total assessed parcel value of 521,300.
Is that the building
That's what
also?
it's assessed for.
That's what the tax assessment is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah,
that's-
it's not the same.
We're
Well,
looking, we were looking up,
Yeah, no,
Sorry.
the actual
No, it's not the
same.
value, so to speak, appraisal
Yeah.
should be higher than that,
Yes.
given it's a town building. 'Cause usually they lag behind, you don't assess them as frequently, is what I found.
so if it's assessed at that, it's gonna be.
Should be more.
Well, we could guess all day, or we can wait for the.
Yeah.
What?
Right.
We don't wanna guess?
No.
All right, so then with that,
Make a motion to adjourn?
Well, I have some
Oh.
questions.
No.
Before you do,
Tim.
I always come with my list, you should know this by
I
now.
forgot about you, Tim.
Bathroom accessories. So fairly straightforward, but do you want to just use like bifold towels, or are you looking for electric hand dryers, or what are you thinking?
What's cheaper?
Bifold towels, paper towel,
What do we have here? Same.
seafold,
Like- All the departments have it. Paper.
paper.
We have hair dryers.
You're special.
The whole public safety complex.
Chief, do you know if the town has a town building-wide paper dispenser company or whatever?
Yeah, like
Usually
do you
they'll
have a
provide you with
supplier?
the accessories for free,
Right.
to get the order
They-
long-term.
They do. They definitely do.
Okay.
What's more environmentally friendly?
Air dryer technically, because people use too much paper is the problem.
What's more effective?
Towel,
Yeah.
Towels.
Especially with COVID and all that.
Towels, yeah.
okay,
So, Kate,
So,
what did we
paper.
say?
paper. Well, it's
Can you
more,
put one-
I'm asking
Can you
these
put one
questions
hand
because
dryer-
I'm
can you
getting
put
the
one hand
questions.
dryer in each bathroom?
We could. There's nothing that says how many you need
Right,
to
I'm
have.
just saying, 'cause some people would wanna be more environmentally friendly anyway, so it's just thought.
What, you're saying do both?
Yes,
A hand dryer and paper?
yes.
Mhm.
That's what we have over at the.
Would you do that as well in your, would, I assume, would you do just paper in your single user bathrooms?
Oh my gosh, that was so funny because that popped in my head as soon as you said that,
Probably.
and I thought that we, because the
Yeah,
other one is like multiple people, and that one's just single.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, at least in the main bathrooms.
And then do you, I assume, just a standard wall mount soap dispenser of some kind?
Probably, and again, that's probably something that the vendor would.
Yep, which
Yeah.
if you have a vendor, if you can get that to me, that would be great. For bathroom accessories. Do you want to have, it's not required, but do you want to have baby changing
I would say if you did, would be in the main one only.
in the, yeah, the bigger one?
Yeah.
Maybe the one that's closer to the, TA.
Mm-hmm.
just in case.
Yeah.
Be friendly.
I know, I didn't even think of that.
That's what you have
I mean,
me
you
here
have to-
for.
Yeah, it's gonna be a community building.
Yeah. Do you anticipate any vending machines in the building?
Yeah. I would say so.
For what?
For what?
Yeah, for the people that are.
Cigarettes?
That's
Well,
what.
Cigars,
Typically, it would be like drinks or things of that nature.
Chips and stuff, I mean, for the people who work there.
Why wouldn't that be in the kitchen?
Could be.
Why wouldn't that be bought in bulk and just put in the kitchen?
Not necessarily purchased, the vendor puts them there.
The vendor puts it
Ven-
there,
vendor-
but it's,
Comes in with his machines,
would you-
pays us,
yeah,
have the
they,
machines there.
and they get the money from it, but it's more from the standpoint of, we need to know if you're thinking it might happen, and then we can plan for it, because it's an electrical load, which is why I'm being asked.
I don't know, what do you think, guys?
I say yes.
Because you're saying we can make money off of them.
Not necessarily, if we're talking about water, you have Coke, Pepsi, whatever. Refreshments,
Yep.
iced tea,
Do you
The,
have a vending machine in the police station?
Nope.
Do you have
No.
one in the fire? But
No.
those aren't necessarily community complexes.
that's precisely, yeah.
well, I'm
I'd say
thinking
yes.
here,
Mhm.
right? Do they have one
What
here?
do you think?
Why not wire for it? I mean, that way,
Yeah, we can put some,
A
provide
major
some
deal,
power
you're
for
gonna
it.
plug in one or two.
Yeah.
Right.
right.
And we'll
Yeah,
find where it makes the most sense in terms of,
Right.
because that probably wants to be either in the multi-purpose room, or if we can find a nook in a corridor
Right.
somewhere where it can fit,
And that is maintained by the vendor, not by us.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
but
Alright.
we'd have to have power for it. is the
Right.
main thing. So,
We'll just have the
I'd
option
prefer
to be able to put machines there.
in the gym, right now, I don't believe the baskets are motorized.
No.
I don't
No.
believe there's any kind of scoreboard or anything like that in there that I recall. Is there any?
No, no.
Is there any anticipation for anything like that?
I don't think so.
Okay, I didn't think so, but I want to confirm.
Maybe when the Parks and Recs get in and they can earn money or save money.
Right, it can be another thing. So we've got copiers and printers in the copy room itself. I know I have individual printers. I just need to go through programming to give that list to our electrical engineer. Anywhere else where you would want or need a copier, I think generally all of that was going to be common
You think generally what?
for a copier,
Like a copy.
like a actual BizHub style. We have
Well,
a copy
each
room.
department actually
Has
has
their
one
own,
right now.
Right.
Right, and
Except
the
for the
thought is
annex.
they'll be in common, and I know a number of the programs, they had a small desktop room,
Right.
which will accommodate. I'm just asking, do you see a need to have more than just the one in the copy room, larger BizHub style
Well,
copy
'cause
machine?
the annex uses one altogether. All the offices use one. They have one here, and you guys have one upstairs.
There's 3 printers upstairs.
Because the only thing that I'm thinking would make sense,
What,
if
Tia and
anything,
treasurer and you?
No, it's all in the, there's
Yeah.
2 in the closet. And
Yeah.
one's the
because
big
I think the town hall component,
Mm-hmm.
that can all be consolidated. It
Right.
makes sense, but I'm kind of leaning in the direction of we might want to plan on another one more in the offices for the senior center.
Well, that's what I'm thinking because they have one here, and then you have the office, and then you guys have upstairs.
Tim, I think we should have one in the town manager's suite, one in the senior center, and at least one on the town hall hallway, if not.
Yeah, we have a copy room for that, but the TA actually makes some sense to have one.
Yeah.
At least have the power and data set up for it, even if you don't install it day one.
Right. What can we say? Power keep getting in Grayskull.
Yeah.
It's a curtain.
So power operators, right now we have them carried at both the main entry and then that side entry that's closer to the senior center, as well as the far north door. Do we still want to carry all of those locations?
You're saying power?
Power operators, so the push paddle to open the door automatically.
Yes.
I would say yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's powerful.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you have to sit there like this, waiting for it to open, crank it.
Um,
So all doors with power operated.
Yep, all your main entry doors, entry exit doors. I'll send you a list, just I want to confirm ultimately the appliances for the kitchenette, which is the break room, and then also the kitchen. I think the kitchen's just this, which we've talked through, but I want to just double check that list. I'll send that to you. right? Last conversation we had, we are not including a sound system in any of our multi-purpose rooms. I'm just confirming.
In any of our multi-purpose rooms.
Well, this one has one. They play music.
They do have, this is a sound system.
Yeah, they have speakers in the ceiling here.
And by multi-purpose, I mean like our conference rooms?
Conference rooms, the larger multi-purpose, and granted, this can be broken up if we want to be talking about specific, if there's one specific location where you need or want something incorporated.
Would you want it the cafeteria where you
Yeah.
can have voting or?
Yeah, you might need something in the cafeteria because that'll be a place for select board meetings. I would say definitely
Okay,
in the
cafeteria.
cafeteria.
So speakers and a hookup, maybe one
Yeah.
hookup at each side.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tim, should we be considering a, speech amplification system as well, given the intended clientele?
Yeah, probably should.
Speech what?
Hard of hearing aids
Amplification
in.
system.
You know, for that purpose?
Yeah.
That you can tune your hearing aid into.
With the new technology now.
Yeah. And right now we're assuming in all of your conference rooms that those won't be projection or drop down screens, they'll be wall mounted monitors. Just confirming that that's the direction we're headed.
Yes.
Okay.
Saving us money, that's how we have to do it. As much as we wanna.
Yeah.
Go
A
futuristic.
little bit more foolproof at this point because projection, it's old technology now. Okay, that's what I got.
Try again?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?